It's just looks like it's setting up. It says I'm live. So I'm almost live. Almost live on YouTube at least. It looks like I'm live on Facebook. Now I'm live on YouTube as well. Wow, look at this. It's all working. I'm just going to bring up everything here so it's all, I can grab all the comments. There's going to be a bit of feedback momentarily whilst I set that up. And it's going to just bounce back on me here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the live stream every single night here on Scotch Malt Whisky Society Australia group, Scotch Malt Whisky Society Australia page, and our YouTube channel. Seamus Carroll, Steve Oates, and 5 others have joined in. Thank you so much. Good to see you all. It's Tuesday night. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we couldn't go live last night. I won't go into detail. Look, it's just, you know, a night off is also good because we've been going live every single day for, you know, for a long time. I keep saying it's about a year, and it is about a year. But yeah, here we go. So I'm just grabbing up all the streams now. So bear with me a moment whilst everyone's joining in. Great to see everyone joining in. Thank you so much. Mark Garrow, good to see you. Here we go. Okay. I think, look, most people are joining in via the group, it looks like, and YouTube, but it's really good. Scott Brickhill, Seamus, good to see you guys. Kathleen Davies, good to see you. Sally Lau, good to see you. So good to see so many familiar faces and so many friendly people joining the live stream. It is, of course, Outturn Week. It's Outturn Week. Now, what that means is this Friday is Outturn. It's our May Outturn. Find your spirit animal, it says. It is the festival edition of Outturn. I want to talk through the Outturn for a moment, but I've got some previews in front of me to taste through. Okay. The whole idea of this Outturn for May is that we realize that most people are stuck at home. We know that most people are self-isolating or are social distancing or are working from home, have got time on their hands. So the idea of this Outturn is that it's much thicker, as you'll notice. It's 40 pages instead of our usual 24-ish. And the idea is that there's so many good things in here. There's obviously lots of whiskies to pick from, but there's also lots of things to read. State Manager Alex Moores writes, "Drink the whiskey, not the Kool-Aid." A 4-page article from him in there. You can read it on the PDF, on the issue link, on the mailed copy, however you'd like to read Outturn. You've got an article from Susie. You've got an article from Jenny. Susie, by the way, Susie Tors, for those who are younger members who might not know who Susie is our General Manager, Membership Services Director. She's sort of the person who runs it all. She's the big boss. So she works out of a different office from me regularly anyway. And she's written an article called the Tiramisu, which is her tiramisu recipe. Well worth trying that one at home. Jenny Forrest, our South Australian manager, has written a Mandarin and whiskey marmalade recipe there. And I don't know, Miss Drew McKinney, our ACT manager, has written a peated whiskey whiskey cake. He uses Ardbeg because he's a massive Ardbeg fan. He's even gone in the ballot, by the way. And just so you know, state managers don't get any special preference on festival casks or anything like that. It's like they enter the ballot just like everyone else, and so it should be because members get first preference. Of course, they'll be randomly selected just like you. Anyway, I'm like a kid at Christmas time this week. Yeah, look. I make we won't hide the fact that May and November are our 2 biggest outturns of the year. We often do a little bit of a meatier one in July as well. But May and November, of course, being the double issue for the Christmas, the big A4 one that we like to send to everyone. Kathleen, thumbs up. Good to see you. Caleb says, part of me is hoping June outturn is really average so that my bank account can recover. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine. Look, yeah, June will be still very content rich, but it'll be a standard sized outturn. So our usual 10 to 12 casks available. Whereas, yeah, May and July are often a little bit bigger, just covering the winter months, good winter dramming months. And then November is our double issue, which is the beefy Christmas issue, which is a big one for us and for you as well. And there's obviously in the November issue, we've got things like member profiles. If you've looked at previous years, we've got ones where we interview members, where we talk about their experience of the society, their history with it, their travels, their journeys, their casks, everything they love. Jared, legend, mate. You are the legend here. Scott Brickhill says, Alex's article is excellent, well written, and a great read. I really appreciate that, Scott. I love having state managers offer their 2 cents. You know what, we just have, Andrew and I write something for every issue. And I just love having other staff members, other people write things for us. We've had, even in the past, we've had the likes of Dr. Bill Lumsden write in publications we've done, and Ian Buxton. Look, if you look at any unfiltered magazine, obviously we canvass a whole range of authors, but some meaty stuff to get in an outturn, which is in between unfiltered issues, is always good as well. Okay. Now, that said, there's 10 festival casks, 5 in front of me here, 5 more down there, which are in this this outturn, which is a lot of fun. And I've got the 5 in front of me here, which are all part of these 5 are part of the festival pack. So I'm doing a live stream tasting, just like you're watching now, but just like, but this one will probably be with Andrew again, which would be great. As you've seen, restrictions are starting to lift. He and I work together out of an office often, so it's a professional capacity, so no problems there. Virtual Whiskey Festival, if you flip to the last page in outturn there, I'm going to hold that up for you all to see. You can see that there's a 5-dram pack, which is these packs. It's a festival tasting set. $99 for 5 full-size drams of each of these festival releases, 35.254, 7.233, 52.32, 93.128, and of course, 33.139. I'll get to those ones in a moment. I tasted this 35.254, just a wee dram of it the other night on the Friday night live, last Friday night. So if you want to take some of my just very short thoughts on that one, I will come back to this one, but what I want to focus on is the next one in that lineup. There's the sound. There's the sound. Okay, so here we have 7.2. I'm just going to pour a tiny bit. I've got to make sure there's enough for the packs. So I'm going to hold that up there. This is 7.233. So you can see that there. Hope that's coming through okay. A syrupy sweet tale of romance. A 13-year-old single cask from Distillery 7, full maturation. I said something which made my phone think I said, "Hey Siri," but I didn't. No, I just said it again, didn't I? Okay. So this is a full maturation, full sherry cask maturation, first fill Oloroso maturation from Distillery 7. Now, if you know Distillery 7, then you know what I'm talking about here. These are absolutely delightful sherried whiskies. Let's have a nose of that. Super clean. For those who have an aversion to sulfur, you have nothing to worry about. There is not a hint of it on the nose on that. And it's going to be on the nose first and foremost where you notice it. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I love first fill sherry butt whiskies, especially ones with a bit of age, and from this distillery number 7. Great whiskey. I know this is a really unfair comparison to make, but for those who did pick up one of Andrew's Whiskey and Wisdom Glenfarclas Edition 2s, you would be in good steading to grab one of these. It's in the pack anyway. Grab one of the packs if you want to do a full tasting of these as well. I mean, if I was to add up each bottling, we've got so yeah, it's about $1,300 worth of whiskey that you can do for $99, which is great. A great way to get through it. Hype on this one, Seamus. Yeah, look, I like first fill sherry casks just like anyone else. Of course, if you like those big sherried whiskies, this is kind of really up your wheelhouse here. You can oh, wow. Okay. Clean doesn't even begin to describe that. I mean, this is like, it's just so sherried. There's a certain like syrupy sort of like delicacy, like a iron fist in a velvet glove kind of thing going on here. Yeah, wow. So think sort of like prunes, think rich old sherrieds, and everything you love out of Longmorn Distillery. Now, it's one of those distilleries that is considered the icing on the cake for Shivers Group. So Shivers Group own a number of distilleries. I'm gonna miss one or two, I'm sure, but Altavan, Bravel, I think. Look, I'm not going to try and name them all. They own a bunch of distilleries that contribute to the blends that make up Shivers Regal, of course. And this one is they consider this to be their cream on top of the cake. They consider this to be the dressing malt. So some distilleries out there that are primarily for blending are primarily for bulk. They're made for the middle, the real sort of 80% of the malt, if you like. And filler is not the right word for it, but usually the malt is designed to be the bulk of the spirit for some of these blends. They are distilleries like Glenkeith, like Linkwood, like things like that, which are Balmenic, which are they're not the highest grade often for dressing malts, whereas some distilleries, like Distillery 7, are considered to be the dressing malt for these blends. So that's a really exciting way. Denver says yummy. Yeah, yummy indeed. Darren Howie, good to see you, mate. Hayden Dare says, fight to the death for this one, I'm guessing. Look, Hayden, there's a fair amount of this to go around. There's 30 of them. Now, that sounds like a lot, but it's a festival bottling of a first fill sherried whiskey. So I think there will be a bit of a rush on that one, but just as there will be on the 35254, I hope, because that's also an equally deliciously deep, rich, and dried fruits whiskey, that one. The 11-year-old, which says 10 in outturn. I am very aware of that. There's a lot of little details that might get missed in proofreading sometimes. Okay. The backbone. Yeah, Longmorn is the pretty face. Yeah. So if a distillery like Glenkeith is kind of like the backbone, it's kind of like it provides a lot of malt for a lot of different blends. Pardon me. Then a distillery like Longmorn is a good example of a dressing malt. Mortlach is a dressing malt for Diageo. Things like that, where these distilleries that have got quite a unique or rich character that really just give it that icing on the cake, as I say. And they've got no problem hiding that detail. The next one I want to touch on is one that I've actually not even opened yet. This is quite exciting because this is a Highland whiskey as part of the Highland Whiskey Festival. And this is a distillery in Wick. There's not many distilleries in Wick, so I'm sure you can guess what Distillery 52 is. Get rid of that little plastic cap. Highly entertaining. I'm going to just show that there for you now. Oily and coastal, highly entertaining, exclamation mark, 52.32, a first fill bourbon hogshead, 12-year-old first fill bourbon hogshead, single cask, 58.2%. That's a lovely proof on that, actually. Oh, that's quite a subtle sound of that one. I like that. Something a bit different. Okay, just pour a tiny bit of that. Pop that there for you to see. Just precisely. Oh, no, I did not smash a bottle. Made a good effort of it, though. There you go. So that's 52.32, highly entertaining. Part of the, it's a distillery in Wick. Starts with old. You can guess the rest. And this is like I said, a Highland whiskey. Yeah, I just saw myself drop that. Don't worry. There's plenty of table in front of where those bottles sit. Don't worry. Including the screen here. There you go. So there's plenty of room here. Your heart stopped then. No, you do have to try quite a bit harder to break a society bottle there. I sometimes cut some glasses. I've showed it in one of my weekend live streams, and the glass on these society bottles is like it's almost like a centimeter thick. It's very thick glass, so you do have to give it a solid go if you really want to break a bottle, but I don't recommend it. I got asked a question from a member recently asking, is this 52 anything like the milking a cowfish? It is, but it also isn't. It shares a similar DNA, but every single cask is different. This one I'd say is even far more, it's a bit creamier. It's a bit, certainly softer on the nose than I was expecting. Initially, softer on the nose. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I love nosing this kind of whiskey. It's a first fill bourbon hoggy, so it's a bigger cask than a barrel, and it's still a first fill though, which is in hogshead land is a little bit unusual. You see a lot of refill hogsheads, see a lot of second fill hogsheads. You don't see too many first fill hoggies. There's a good reason for that, but I'll talk about that another night. Darren Howie asks on the stream, hey Matt, the 7.233, is it only sherry buck, not a mixed cask? Darren, we don't do mixed casks. We don't do blending of single malts, or we do, but only for heresy bottlings. So it's not a finish. It's not an extra maturation. It's full maturation, first fill sherry butt. So it's an Oloroso, ex-Oloroso first fill sherry butt, full maturation for 13 years, that one. So no finishing, no extra maturation, no mixing, nothing. Just straight up, first fill sherry. Thanks everyone who's joining, by the way. I am, like I said, sorry I couldn't do a live last night. A little bit under the weather, a little bit too many things going on. I'm okay. It's far softer than I was expecting. But not in a bad way. It's got lovely complexity to it. You know that nose of like a really, really good extra virgin olive oil. I'm getting that on the nose straight away, which is kind of that oily kind of note that you get out of an Oily and Coastal. Bit of rock salt, bit of butter. Not bad at all. Wow. The revelation on that one is definitely on the palate. It's a whiskey that is super exciting. I'm not going into too much detail tonight. This is just a little bit of a preview, because the real tasting for these 5 whiskeys is on the 29th of May. Sounds like a little while off, but it's not really. Time flies. Grab your pack on the 1st of May, add it to the cart, and go from there. No finished stuff. Yeah, thanks. Didn't know that. Thanks, Darren. You're very welcome. Alex Dahlenberg says hashtag definitely not shit. Yeah, look, that sounds like one of those Bill Lark quotes, doesn't it? You know, it's like no, Bill's was not too shit house. That was the way that Bill used to quote it. Bill, of course, is, as we've written before, Bill Lark, the godfather of Australian whiskey, has been a society member since I think 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. So he's definitely one of our long-term members. And he's quite fond of his peated whiskies. He's our 53s and in the past, a lot of 3s and things like that from us. Excellent stuff. I'm going to come back to that. Now, the next one I was going to talk about was 93.128. This one I'm supremely excited by. A, I love Campbelltown whiskey. B, I love teenage casks from this distillery. And C, Oily and Coastal, not overly heavily peated kind of whiskey from this distillery shines, absolutely shines. Andrew made a spectacular comment about the 93s in a live stream we did together, where I was talking about how we seem to get sort of mostly 2 brackets of 93s at the moment. We see a string of like 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old casks, and they're all quite peated. They're all quite heavy, and they're just a totally different beast from the teenage ones that we get, the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old casks we get out of this distillery. They're both very different in both very interesting ways. The teenage ones just have this far different complexity. The peated ones are fun. They're total party casks. They're great fun. We just get different. Yes, that's exciting. That's exciting. Now, this is Oily and Coastal, but so is this. But the reason why we're using both of these in the pack is because they're so different. Yeah, the 93 for me just sings of complexity and that old gasoline station, diesel fume. Yeah, that's my kind of whiskey. That sort of syrupy Campbelltown note. Smoke and Smugglers, that one's called, by the way. Sorry, I didn't give that one much of a preview on the camera. There you go. 17-year-old Oily and Coastal, 93.128, Smoke and Smugglers. Yeah, favorite tasting note, Alex says. I couldn't agree more. It's Bill Lark said that he said that at a few tastings, and it's definitely one of my more favorite quotes of Bill when he said he called it a whiskey not too shithouse. It's actually a huge compliment from him. And as I said, he said that about Society Whiskies at the events we've done with him, and he's been a member since 2004 or 2003, somewhere around there. Fantastic. I'm just going to check if there's any questions coming through on the other channels, because I don't get to all of them. Full Sherry equals Hey Siri. Oh, I just said it again. No, that's all right. They didn't activate that time. There was some video online ages ago about these people who managed to make a whole room full of phones activate or something. I have to find it. Good evening, Dr. Bailey, says James Villajanis. I'm not a doctor, but I'll appreciate the reference, James. Fantastic. Everyone's tuning in. Hayden says, what are those lovely stemmed glasses from, Matt? Good question, Hayden. As you can see, they have the Society monogram on them. They are our SCS glasses. So these glasses are actually designed and produced in France for our team and for members. They're called this spirits glass. They were designed for non-whiskey spirits, I'll be honest. They were designed for things like rums, cognacs, armagnacs. However, they make for a lovely whiskey tasting glass as well, and I quite like them. You'll sometimes see me using the normal society short stemmed whiskey glass, but sometimes I just like to use these just as a little bit of point of difference. They're hand blown by Lehman in France for us, and they're available on the website now. I think we've got a few left at the moment. I think they're $20 each. I can't remember. Off the top of my head, the price escapes me, but I know they're about that. So Hayden, I hope that answers your question. There's something about teenage Campbelltown whiskey. I've talked about this at length before, how there's a certain savory note, a certain diesel fume, a coastal note, like an old fishing dock, driftwood, tobacco, ash, even a hint of molasses. There's a sweetness to them as well. This is, of course, from a refill bourbon hoggy, so it's still, even after 17 years, quite spirit forward, which I love. And if you love your 93s, this is one to keep an eye out for. We've got a few 93s coming through, but the festival one, of course, is a special cask that's been picked out. Okay, I'm going to pop that there for now. I know I'm powering through. I'm just nosing really at the moment. The full tasting for this, as it says in Outturn, is on the 29th of May. Grab your Outturn. Have a look at that back page. It's the only event that is in Outturn. As I said, events for us at the moment are a bit far and few between, but restrictions seem to be starting to. There's talk of restrictions obviously starting to lift. You can have up to 2 guests in your home from Friday or something. The beaches reopened in Sydney today. Personally, I think you'd have to be a bit of a nutter to be the first in a large group on a beach first day in. But, each to their own. But there you go. So there's a lot of things coming through. I think here we go. All good there. I don't think there's anything else. I don't think I've missed anything there. Okay, fantastic. Now, the next and final festival cask offering that is in the lineup, of course, is 33.139. You would not believe. I'm going to hold that a bit closer. 33.139, you would not believe. It is a premium livery, peated, distillery 33, full sherry maturation, 12-year-old whiskey. Need I say more? I didn't think I was going to open this one tonight, but I will. Look, it's one that we need to taste eventually, and I'm super excited by this particular one. So here's the first bottle open in Australia. Boom, that had a good sound. So I'm just going to pour just a smidge, as I said. Oh yeah, that looks lovely. It's quite dark. I mean, I always say don't focus on the color, and you shouldn't at all. But having a nice old sherried whiskey. Well, it's not that old. It's not that old. Sorry, there's a 22-year-old in there in the lineup, as you may have seen. I'm not opening that tonight. Ooh, okay. Wow, you would not believe is a good phrase for that one. I tell you what. If you read Alex's comments on Drink the Whiskey, Not the Kool-Aid, I think that's a really good starting point for not obsessing over codes too much and not having too much about distillery codes. Yes, I know everyone loves the 33s. Everyone loves the 29s. They're great. If you're sacrificing looking at things like peated 93s, 53s, even 66s and 16s over looking at these, then I think you're missing out a bit. Wow. There's sincerely got so much going on in there. Beef jerky. Hazelnut liqueurs. There's a taste in there about hazelnut liqueur. I agree with that entirely. Yeah, Turkish Delight's a good one as well. It could almost be a peated rum. It's a bit rummy. Unbelievable stuff. they actually released a committee release from this distillery, today, which was called Black. They do this every year. You can pick up single casks of this whiskey for about $2,000 a bottle on the market, which they're between 10 and 12 years old, a bit like this one. This was $395, by the way. That's just a little bragging point to say that I think the Society whiskeys are tremendously good value. It's a $395 bottle that could be $2,000. I mean, if you were to buy the core, the OB version of this, it'd be no less than $2,000. Scott Brickhill says Robocow and Great Fun from 66 was seriously good value. Yeah, Scott, you know what? I couldn't agree more. It's like once people tasted Robocow, they were like, what the hell is going on here? This is an unbelievable cask. And I honestly think we are seeing a lot of good peated whiskey at the moment from distilleries outside of Islay. We're seeing some great peated whiskey from the likes of Distillery 16, Distillery 66. So just two off the top of my head, there's a whole bunch, of course, that we're seeing peated whiskey from, peated 135s coming through. Things like that, which you go, wow, this is an unbelievable whiskey. And even Distillery 137 recently, 137.6, the Garden Shed of England or something it was called. That was a great whiskey. Like even a few people tasted that cask and said it tasted like a super clean 33 and with a bit of an English twist on it, I guess. Being an English whiskey distillery. And we've got some peated whiskey coming from India soon. Keep an eye out for that one. That's a couple of months away, but keep an eye out for that. That's going to be super exciting. So we've got some, like I said, great peated whiskey from distilleries that are not in Islay. And once people taste them, it's like, oh, wow, I've been hunting 33s and 29s and 53s my whole life and 10s and 3s, whatever, and 129s. And there's so much whiskey out there that is unbelievably balanced and incredible peat character to it. And it works really well. So anyway, yes, I'll agree with you on the 66. A Gentle Genie of Sweet Smoke was an amazing 66. I don't remember that exact code, but that sounds like it's going back a bit, Hayden. I can't remember that one. Acme Ghost Repellent. Oh, Acme Ghost Repellent. There's two peated whiskeys from last year that I'm still kicking myself. I didn't get a bottle for myself. That was Acme Ghost Repellent, and I think the other one was called All in the Game, 138.1, a peated Taiwanese whiskey. That was probably the cleanest peated whiskey, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, there's, you know how like some peated whiskey from 29 and 33 can be dirty and boggy, and you're often in the mood for that. But if you want a peated whiskey that is just like I guess the Dom Perignon of peat, if you like, the really clean, fine bubble champagnes of peated whiskey. Terrible analogy, but I hope you know what I mean. You get these whiskeys that are complex and interesting and fascinating peat character to them. So yes, any peated 12s. Seamus. Ooh, Seamus peated 12s. I don't think so at the moment. No. The 12s we've been getting through are all mostly first fill bourbon barrels. We had two refill PX casks, and we had a couple of 35 and 38-year-old casks, which were fascinating. So we're getting a mixture of sort of young and very old stuff out of 12, but not too many peated. No, none peated. But, you know, put a good word in for us and all that. You know how it works. Darren, so how does it compare to the Thigh Slapper? We love that. Best Ardbeg we've ever had was the German Independent. Okay. You saw it for $1,100 in Oban. Yeah, okay. Did you try Thigh Slapper, Darren? Because that was one of my favorites as well. And then one that it sold out before I could get one, but it was Thigh Slapper was amazing. I'd say that's very close to Thigh Slapper. It's obviously very similar specs, but being single cask, it's different. And it's a completely different profile. If anything, it's just a hint more sort of like salted beef jerky on this one. I think Thigh Slapper for me was like a polished emerald of a whiskey. It was flawless in many ways. This one is very similar, but if anything, it's just like there's like a piece of like feels like they've distilled a piece of salty beef jerky into the mix. Maybe, I don't know. I like that though. Yeah, there's more to Ireland than Ardbeg. Garen, as you know, we get every distillery code. We see very few out of some distilleries. We don't see too many 3s. We don't see too many 127s. But that's understandable. You don't really see too many indie bottlings of either of those, especially 127. Very nice, Darren. Very cool. Alex, good to see you. James, good to see you. Jumped over to from page to group. I know where you all are. It's okay. It's okay. Very cool, guys. Thank you for all the questions and comments coming through. 137, 138 too. Yes, Alex, you're right. I'll be there. Brooke says, Alex, we're looking forward to seeing everyone's faces for pick up tomorrow. Yes. Now, this is a couple of little announcements before I finish up. Whiskey and Almond are doing the juice bag packs of there's 3 festival casks that are not in our festival releases, and they're 2 casks from Distillery 10. They might be very cool to do side by side. And the third one they are doing is the my brain today. Brooke, if you're watching, you can remind me what it was. I'm really sorry. I've been going like a million miles an hour tonight. So, yeah, there's 3. There's 2 10s and something else. You know what? It's going to bug me now. It's going to really bug me. So I'm just going to go like this. And where are we? Here it is. Oh, the 29, the younger 29. Amazing. Yes, sorry. There's 2 29s in the festival casks. 29. Yes, sorry, Sally, James, you've all got it. Sorry. I had a mental blank there for a moment because I was thinking about the codes. 10, 10, 29. They are also available through Whiskey and Almond. They're not part of these 5, of course, which is the 35, 7, 52, 93, and 33. But the others will be, those other 3 will be. The only things that aren't being sampled up are the old 29, the 29.268. And the other one. So that's all from me tonight. Like I said, I really appreciate you, everyone joining in and asking some great questions, being a part of this great stream. The younger 29, yeah, sorry, everyone's bouncing on me with this. 3 packs left, man. They've smashed through this. Good on them. Big shout out to Brooke and Jules over at Whiskey and Almond for taking the initiative to get these previews and samples out to members. They really appreciate it. I know I do. I know you guys do. And of course, keep an eye out for this Friday's release of the packs that are going to be in Outturn. If you're not a member of the society yet, good news for you. There's a few offers currently online, including membership plus Beachcomber, membership plus Big Swirl. Of course, great way to get into the society. You get a bottle and membership for $1.99. That's ridiculous. However, there's going to be a festival pack plus Outturn. They're a very small number of those because I want to make sure that existing members get first preference, as I keep saying. That's where we're up to. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the great questions. Bridget Ann, yes, 29.270. That is correct. I've had a few people correct me because I had a mental blank. So big shout out to Whiskey and Almond for doing those packs. Keep an eye out for this Friday's Outturn on smws.com.au/shop. If you're not a member, good time to join. We're doing everything we can at the moment to ensure the site doesn't have any slowness or crashes, but it's a work in progress. Thank you everyone so much, and I will see you all. I'll see you all tomorrow night. I think I've got a special interview lined up for tomorrow night, which is really exciting. The time of which will start will be 7 o'clock, of course. And when we go live at 7, I'll have an interview lined up with some very special guests. If that works out, which it will, it's because I'm optimistic and mental. James, thank you. You can probably tell I'm a bit tired. I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, I am feeling a lot better. I just needed yesterday. It's been a long ride. Thank you everyone for joining in, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.